We had that in 1994 when the National Party exited the stage. The ANC is exiting the stage. It is game over for the ANC. What has led to the collapse of the ANC? The ANC's collapse...
Guys, this is a sober and intense one from Prince MASHELE. So Prince MASHELE is actually giving this speech at the State of the Nation breakfast, I think, by Mike Sham. And I think this was a really interesting speech for me to listen to, really understand the way Prince MASHELE is actually processing the events going on in South Africa. And actually, in this moment, he actually argues that South Africa is at almost close to a sort of like a 1994 moment when the National Party had to give way to the ANC, so to speak. So it's kind of like what he calls this realignment moment. All right. So he says that the ANC now, at this moment as we speak, is exiting the scene, is exiting the stage. And for me personally, I'm really eager. If that happens, I'm really eager to see the replacement of the ANC in South Africa's politics. Really eager. Because the ANC has been with us for 30 years. And when I read your comments on this channel and, you know, the perceptions of many South Africans about the ANC, bro, it's not, it's not encouraging. And so Prince MASHELE argues that the ANC is actually exiting the scene slowly. Remember in the previous video, he actually argued that, you know, the ANC was decimated both by Zuma and President Ramaphosa. That's Prince MASHELE, that not me. So he actually argues that Jacob Zuma was the one who killed the ANC and President Ramaphosa is burying the ANC. So these are Prince MASHELE's words, all right? So now he's actually hitting the hammer again, arguing that, you know, the ANC, in the next elections of 2029, the ANC will drop below 30%. And bro, that's going to be a death, I'm telling you, because the almighty ANC dropping below 30% in South Africa, man, I really don't know what would be able to bring it up, you know, if it would have really fallen in the eyes of its voters to that point. Then I really don't know what even would be happening to SASA at that point and how it would be able to cope. How the people who have been receiving SASA, especially as a basis for voter growth and all that, would be able to cope. What I'm just trying to really imagine the scenarios for South Africa in the event of a decimation of SASA. I keep speaking about this whole SASA. I don't know. I really think I don't know if Africa is ready for a sort of like a welfare state, especially if that economy is not productive, or if productivity isn't an ethos of that economy. We shouldn't be doing anything with welfare at all, because it's just perpetuating a dependency mindset that, you know, many Africans at this point, at this moment, do not need. I really don't think our people need this kind of dependency of a handout. We need to be trained to produce, to be productive, to be, you know, productionists, you see. And so I think this is the way to grow our economy. There's no shortcut to ending the poverty on our spaces, our continents, our nations, other than a productive ethos. You know, full all-out, you know, mobilization of Africans to keep producing and really growing the GDPs within our economies. And so to have a welfare state in South Africa right now, and especially now me learning about South Africa and learning and slowly understanding, you know, many of the arguments I see in the comments in this channel, and also by many commentators, that the ANC might be a socialist, you know, left-wing kind of like party. Bro, I really don't, I think the whole welfare thing, I don't know if it was a wise one. But anyway, Prince MASHELE argues that the ANC is actually burying itself at the moment. He actually even argues that, you know, it's game over for the ANC. Let's quickly listen to Prince MASHELE break down some of these things from his own perspective, and I'll be back for some few thoughts.
South Africa is going through a realignment moment. A realignment moment happens when the political force stroke party that used to be hegemonic, in other words, it used to govern a country, it was the center of political stability, that political force, it exits the stage. We had that in 1994 when the National Party exited the stage. When that moment happens, there is anxiety in society because people are no longer sure as to what next? The future is scary, and we don't know who is going to fill up that vacuum. In 1994, we knew that the ANC was going to fill up that vacuum, but we were still scared because the ANC had never been a government of South Africa, so we didn't know what kind of government would come our way. So we were anxious. So that was the first realignment moment. We are now going through the second realignment moment. South Africa will never be the same again. So what we have seen over the past 30 years has come to an end. Big what we're going through. The ANC is exiting the stage. I look at Fikile Mbalula announcing this thing in KZN, Gauteng. The guy is dreaming during the day. Reminds me of a guy called Comical Ali in Iraq, when the Americans were getting in and they said, we're going to teach them a lesson, and was saying all sorts of things. But it was game over. It is game over for the ANC. Whether we like it or not, whether they like it or not, it is game over for the ANC. I can give you a prediction, and I've been making these predictions, and when I make them, people think I have smoked marijuana. Now it's legal. I still don't smoke it. So, and I was on Mike's platform, by the way, before the elections, and I said the ANC was going to get 38%. It must have been a good 6 months, 8 months before the elections. People said, you are mad. And they can imagine how I was insulted by the ANC. Look at where they are now. In 2029, they will be lucky to get 30%. 2020, they will be lucky to get 30%. I think they won't get 30%. If you look at where they come from 57% to 40%, my prediction is actually very generous. If you look at how they are going down. So it's a realignment moment we are going through. The second point is that the ANC is exiting. You may want to know, but we all know this is public really. What has led to the collapse of the ANC? The ANC's collapse actually was facilitated by two factors. When history proper is written, two factors, and I'm a writer, so I'll be part of those. You know, Churchill said, history is going to be kind to me because I'm going to write it. So I'll write this stuff myself. Two things, corruption and incompetence. These are the two things when we now finally write now. The ANC is buried. We now say, let's reflect two things, corruption and incompetence.
Yes, so you've heard it for yourself, guys. Prince MASHELE actually arguing, that South Africa is actually at a realignment moment right now. And for me personally, anyway, when I think about, this whole thing about the exit stage, this is a metaphor now Prince MASHELE is trying to bring up, the exit of the ANC after 30 years. Man, that's going to be a big one. It's going to be a big one if the ANC completely leaves the scene. Probably not necessarily leaving totally, but falling below 30%. I am still struggling to wonder what party would that be that would represent or replace the ANC. I know the MK party was a big contender, but also, like, I think I'll be making another video. Prince MASHELE argues that the alternative would be a form of coalition, and that South Africa would not be seen a majority party in the next 15 years. So in other words, South Africa should expect a coalition kind of arrangement for the next 15 years before that party that would be able to unite all South Africans emerges on the scene and wins the majority. But for now, we might actually expect more coalition kinds of government, which also means more turbulence and more lack of unity, because with the GNU, for example, we have many multi-sided directions that these parties represent and visions. All right, so we might be seeing a much more turbulent kind of politics according to Prince MASHELE. And he also argues that, we might be expecting more non-state actors like AfriForum and Solidarity. They've actually started the whole thing, but he actually predicts that there will be more of these kinds of non-state actors interfering into the operations of the government because of certain inefficiencies they will see, and they will wish to fight for their own, so to speak, representations or portions of society they represent. And so those are some of the thoughts Prince MASHELE has. He actually also argues that, that South Africans must protect the GNU at all costs, because the GNU is actually the best thing that actually happened to South Africa at this moment. Not like totally, but he argues that at this moment, because the alternative to the GNU, according to Prince MASHELE, would have also been sort of like not so in the best place to really help South Africa at these really challenging times of what he calls a realignment, and a place where the ANC might be exiting the stage. And so that South Africans should fight tooth and nail to protect the GNU with everything they can, and to make sure, at least for this next 15 years, according to his own predictions, South Africa maintains this hegemony of a turbulent coalition kind of system of governance, prior to the emergence of that, what maybe might be called a golden party that would lead South Africa into the promised land. But anyway, that's some thoughts from Prince MASHELE. I really hope you enjoyed this video. But what do you think about some of his ideas and his thoughts in this video? Share your thoughts in the comments.